have you ever really thought about the connection between that drink you have in the evening, how you sleep at night, and how you feel the next day? Well, a brand new, absolutely massive study has some answers that might just surprise you, and we're going to break it all down.
Look, a lot of us have been there, right? It's a super stressful day at work, and your first impulse is just to pour a drink to relax. It feels like a quick fix, especially if you're in a high-pressure job. But what if that easy solution isn't quite so simple? You know, the whole idea of a nightcap to de-stress is practically baked into our culture. And it's true, a lot of people use alcohol to cope, especially in demanding fields like academia. But new research is really starting to challenge that simple story. It turns out the real relationship between alcohol, stress, and our mood is way more complicated.
So, where are these new insights coming from? Well, they're from a huge national health survey done in Korea. And this isn't some small, controlled lab experiment. Nope. This is a powerful look at how thousands of actual people live their lives and what it all means for their health.
And when I say huge, I am not kidding. This study looked at more than 21,000 adults. Just let that number sink in for a second. That incredible scale is what makes these findings so significant. It lets researchers see patterns you'd totally miss in a smaller group.
Now, to measure mental health, the researchers used a standardized tool. It's called the PHQ-9. It's basically a trusted way to assess depressive symptoms. The only thing you really need to know is that a score of 10 or more is considered the marker for clinical depression. This just keeps everything objective and based on established medical science.
The scientists were also incredibly careful here. They adjusted their statistics for all sorts of other factors, things like your age, income, whether you smoke, even your BMI. By filtering all that out, they could really zoom in on the true impact of just alcohol and sleep. It gives us a much, much clearer picture.
Okay, now this is where it gets really fascinating. The data showed something that's, well, it's a paradox. It's a finding that flies right in the face of what most of us would probably assume about drinking and depression. Get ready for this. The study found that people who didn't drink at all actually showed higher odds of having depressive symptoms than people who drank moderately. Yes, you heard that right. Not drinking was linked to a higher risk than having a drink every now and then. And the numbers really tell the story here. For men, moderate drinking, and we're talking about maybe 1 to 4 times a month, was linked to a 36% drop in the odds of depression. For women, that number was a 27% reduction. So what on earth is going on here? Well, the leading theory is that it isn't really about the alcohol itself, but about this situation. Moderate social drinking can help reduce those feelings of isolation and loneliness, which we know are huge triggers for depression. It's really all about connection. But, and this is a really, really big but, before you take this as a permission slip to drink more, the study is crystal clear. That protective effect completely disappears and actually reverses the second you get into heavy or binge drinking territory.
And how much does it reverse? Well, for women who were binge drinking, that means having multiple drinks in one sitting, the odds of depression were 63% higher. The risk doesn't just creep up, it absolutely skyrockets.
So let's shift gears and talk about the other major player in this whole story. And honestly, it might be the most powerful one: sleep. The study found that how much you sleep is a critical, maybe even the deciding factor for your mental health.
The researchers paid close attention to people getting less than 6 hours of sleep at night. And the effect this had on depression risk, totally separate from alcohol, was just staggering.
This might be the single most powerful number in this entire study. Women who slept less than 6 hours a night saw their odds of clinical depression more than double. That's a 113% increase in risk just from not getting enough sleep. The effect was huge for men too. For them, not getting enough sleep was linked to a 48% increase in the odds of depression. The message here is undeniable. No matter who you are, sleep deprivation is a massive, massive risk to your mental well-being.
So what's the big takeaway from all of this data? Well, the study doesn't just highlight problems. It actually gives us a pretty clear blueprint for our own well-being based on how our habits around drinking and sleeping interact with each other.
The advice is actually really straightforward. First, you've got to prioritize getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep. It's non-negotiable. Second, if you do drink, keep it moderate, that sweet spot of 1 to 4 times a month, and definitely avoid binging. And finally, make time for social connections, whether alcohol is involved or not. It's all about finding that healthy balance. Now, this is all especially relevant for folks in high-stress fields, like academia. Understanding the science behind well-being isn't just some personal side project. Staying on top of the latest research like this is absolutely vital for managing burnout and actually growing in your career.
And for anyone who wants to consistently stay on top of these kinds of fascinating discoveries, a great place to look is academicjobs.com. It's a fantastic source for the latest research news and publications in tons of different fields, and it helps you stay current on the insights that matter.
Ultimately, what this study really shows us is that your well-being isn't just about one decision. It's an interconnected system of sleep, social connection, and moderation. So the question I'll leave you with is this: when you look at your own system, which part are you going to tune up first?